guys, another group chat has hit. I would like to say it was the second, but it's not. It's just more group chats. This is called The Group Chats That Changed America. This is a crazy article. And it confirms pretty much everything that we have thought was going on with collusion among elites and the right-wing media apparatus. This is by author Ben Smith. Is on Semaphore. The Scoop. Last Thursday morning, a bit before 10 a.m. in Austin and nearly 11 p.m. in Singapore, Joe Lonsdale had enough of Balaji Srinivasan's view on China. This is insane CCP thinking, Lonsdale, a co-founder of Palantir, wrote to a 300-member Signal group chat. Not sure what leaders hang out with you in Singapore, but on this you have been taken over by a crazy China mind virus. Srinivasan, a former Coinbase chief technology officer and influential tech figure who now lives in the city-state, responded to that China executed extremely well over the 45 years. Any analysis that doesn't take that into account seems like the U.S. could have held it back. Makes it seem like the U.S. could have held it back. It was normal, robust disagreement among friends in a friendly space as both raced to X to declare. After I emailed about them. Emailed about them? Oh, my God. I don't know. I can't read right now. So the author of this piece emailed the people in the group chat and then went to Twitter to talk about it. What the fuck? This is just the other day. This is literally 2 days ago. Ben Smith, the author, you have blocked. Hey, I'm working on a story about how powerful group chat culture has been over the last few years, and I'm going to mention Joe in passing as a big figure in it, and also quote a couple of his recent texts on Chatham House in an argument with Balaji Srinivasan. I think he maybe misspelled it here and spelled it right in the article because it's different about China. I'm using the quotes to illustrate the kind of vigorous and quite interesting arguments going on here, not to make any kinds of broader point. I don't think there's anything there Joe wouldn't say in public, but did want to give him a heads up and see if he wanted to talk about the broader power of these spaces. I'm writing for Sunday. Sorry to bother so late on a Friday. I'm at whatever, probably a number. I sometimes feel so bad that tech completely started journal. What? This is from the guy, Balaji, who immutable money, infinite frontier, eternal life, Bitcoin. The only thing journos do these days is write about group chats. In fact, there's actually a journo writing about one right now. It's Ben Smith, the guy who published the fake Steele dossier. He's writing the fake Steele dossier? That was real. He's writing about a 300-plus person group chat that I sometimes post along with a bunch of other people. Here's the thing. Got trying to get out in front of it. Sweet. And it was just another day in Chatham House, a giant and raucous Signal group chat that forms part of a sprawling network of influential private chats that began during the fervid early days of the COVID-19 pandemic and which have fueled a new alliance of tech and the U.S. right. Which, like, obvious. I think this is obvious that was happening. You know, there has been coordinated movements by all of these actors in America to move politically in a similar direction to help each other. That same week in Chatham House, Lonsdale and the Democratic billionaire Mark Cuban sparred over affirmative action, and Cuban and Daily Wire founder Ben Shapiro discussed questions of culture and work ethic. This constellation of rolling elite political conversations revolved primarily around the venture capitalist Mark Andreessen and a circle of Silicon Valley figures. None of their participants was surprised to see Trump administration officials firing off secrets and emojis on the platform last month, which is, I believe... It's the Signal Gate, Mr. Hegseth and Mr. Waltz. I did not have the good fortune to be accidentally added to one of the chats, which can be set to make messages disappear after just 30 seconds. But their influence flows through X, Substack, and podcasts, and constitutes a kind of dark matter of American politics and media. The group chats aren't always primarily a political space, but they are the single most important place in which a stunning realignment toward Donald Trump was shaped and negotiated, and an alliance between Silicon Valley and the new right formed. The group chats are the mimetic upstream of mainstream opinion, wrote one of their key organizers, Sriram Krishnan, a former partner in the venture capitalist firm Anderson Horowitz, typically styled A16Z, who is now the White House senior policy advisor for AI. Sick. I can't believe that the billionaire class and those who wish to be part of it are organizing against the working class in group chat. That's crazy. Of course, these are hardly the only power group chats. Anti-Trump liberals are now coordinating their responses on Signal. There are group chats for black political elites and morning show producers. A vast influential parallel set of tech conversations take place on WhatsApp. There's a big China-friendly group over on WeChat. Elite podcasters have one. It's the same thing happening on both sides. I've been amazed at how much this is coordinating our reality, said the writer Thomas Chatterton Williams, who was, for a time, a member of the group chat with Andreessen. So there's a difference between like a bunch of podcasters getting together and talking, and then there's like guys who actually run the world, all coordinating to skew towards Trump. Which, by the way, this coincides with massive corporate price hikes. Just saying, all of the corporations rolled out price hikes at the same time, and now suddenly they're all in group chats. That's so sick. If you weren't in the business at all, you'd think everyone was arriving at conclusions independently, and they're not. It's a small group of people who talk to each other and overlap between politics and journalism and a few industries. But there is no equivalent to the intellectual counterculture that grew up over the last 5 years on the tech right, and no figure remotely like Andreessen, the towering, enthusiastic 53-year-old who co-founded A16Z and before that invented the modern web browser. In February, he described the group chats to the podcaster Lex Friedman as the equivalent of Samizdat, the self-published Soviet underground press, in a soft authoritarian age of social media shaming and censorship. The combination of encryption and disappearing messages really unleashed it, he said. The chats he wrote recently helped produce our national vibe shift.
People don't laugh at like made-up bullshit.
This fucking guy? Introducing Eric Torenberg? When we started, okay.
Right. They laugh.
This guy's an evil man.
It's like you're revealing something that they either have not been allowed to think about or have not been allowed to talk about, right? Or is off limits. And all of a sudden it's like the ice breaks and it's like, oh yeah, that's the thing. And it's funny. And like, I laugh. And then of course, this is why, of course, live comedy is so powerful, is because you're all doing that at the same time. So you start to have, right, the safety of numbers. And so the comedians have like it's no surprise to me that, like, for example, Joe's been as successful as he has because they have this hack that the rest of us who are not professional comedians don't have. But you have your in-person version of it. Yeah, and then you got the question of whether you can sort of join the networks together. And then you've probably been to this then at some point there's like the alt dinner party, the Tharker dinner party, and you get 6 or 8 people together and you join the networks. And those are like the happiest, at least in the last decade, those are like the happiest moments of everybody's lives because they're
when we're in dark rooms with secret chats.
Just like everybody's just ecstatic because they're like, I don't have to worry about getting yelled at and shamed.
Yelled at and shamed? By who?
Like for every third sentence that comes out of my mouth, and we can actually talk about real things.
You're talking about the problem of Twitter? They got worse because of your billionaire fucking Is Elon allowed, or did they kick him out?
So that's the live version of it, and then of course the other side of it is the group chat phenomenon. And then basically the same thing played out, until Elon bought X and until Substack took off. Which were really the 2 big breakthroughs in free speech online.
I don't really want to watch the rest of this. This guy's a sicko, though. The chats are occasionally marked by the sort of thing that would have gotten you scolded on Twitter in 2020, which would pass unremarked on X in 2025 because it's a 4chan. They have rarely been discussed in public, though you can catch an occasional mention on it. For instance, podcast between Cuban and Republican entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, which started the chat.
So we'll talk politics for a second. We got Mark Cuban here, by the way. This is a guy who I've loved this guy from afar. He entertains me because I learn something new when I hear him talk about anything other than politics. Politics, maybe. but I want to get your take on just some market participant myself.
As a market participant 8 months ago, didn't have Mark on the other day, huh? They are made visible through group consensus on social media. Their effects have ranged from mainstreaming of the monarchist pundit Curtis Yarvin to a particularly focused and developed dislike of the former Washington Post writer Taylor Lorenz. Oh, no way. A bunch of men got in a group and don't like Taylor Lorenz? That's crazy. They succeeded at avoiding leaks until, to a modest extent, this article, in part because of Signal and WhatsApp's disappearing message feature, and in part because the group had formed out of a mix of fear and disdain for journalists they believe were out to get us, as one member put it. One of the roughly 20 participants I spoke to also felt a genuine sentimental attachment to the spaces and believed in their value. One participant of the groups described them as a republic of letters, a reference to the long-distance intellectual correspondence of the 17th century. Others often invoked European salon culture. Oh, the closed group. What they're craving is a third space. Like, literally just start making amenities for the people and make private bathhouses and get together in bathhouses like the Romans did. The closed groups offered an alternative to the Twitter and Slack conversations once dominated by progressive social movements when polarizing health debates swept through social media and society during the COVID-19 pandemic. Quote, people during 2020 felt that there was a monoculture on social media, and if they didn't agree with something, group chats became a safe space to debate that. Oh, they needed a safe space. It's crazy. It felt like a safe space. Oh. To debate that, share that, build consensus, feel that you're not alone, said Eric Torenberg, an entrepreneur who was the first employee of the tech community hub Product Hunt. As Krishnan was setting up a set of tech group WhatsApp chats at A16Z. Torenberg independently founded a group of tech chats on WhatsApp and some more political signal chats. There's just so many chats, dude. They're having all the private conversations because they weren't allowed to have the public conversations. No, that's not why. Because they weren't allowed to have the public conversations. Yeah, no, you're fucking trying to spin this shit, Andreessen. That's the same fucking guy that was on there earlier. You weren't allowed to have the public. You can have what? I don't know what public conversation you're trying to have that you can't say. I think maybe we should see screenshots or something. What are you trying to talk about that you can't talk about? Huh? Trying to rule the fucking world mostly. Trying to suppress everybody else's life. Andreessen told Torenberg on the recent podcast after joking in the name of secrecy that he'd never heard of such groups. If it wasn't for the censorship, all of these conversations would have happened in public, which would have been much better. The censorship. Go on. I mean, Twitter isn't censored now, right? Y'all can be like open pedophiles and everything. Their creation took off. It might not seem like it because of all the shit that people still post on X, but the internet has fragmented. The Substack author Noah Smith wrote after my inquiries for the story spilled into the public Saturday. Group chats are now where everything important and interesting happens. Well, I mean, you could say the same thing about like email. Like, like a group email at the time. Time to build. It can be hard to date the beginning of the group chat era exactly. They began bubbling up in 2018 and 2019. Man, I've had group chats for fucking 15 years. These people are way behind. And accelerated in earnest in the spring of 2020 as the scale of the pandemic set in April and the weakness of both the U.S. supply chain and government became clear. Anderson fired off what would become profoundly influential essay saying it's time to build, calling for a revival of patriotic industry and innovation. Conversations about the essays of the pandemic bubbled on Clubhouse, a flash-in-the-pan social conversation app where Krishnan was also trying to build communities. Andreessen and Krishnan discussed trying to replicate the free-flowing early Hacker News bulletin board online and then settled on group chats as the story they've told friends goes. They discussed 3 platforms, Signal, WhatsApp, and Telegram, and discarded the third over lingering questions about its security and Russian ties. Well, that's good. At least they didn't want to leak it to the Russians like the American government and the people that Trump has hired. That spring, Krishnan, working as a consultant, launched a group called Build on WhatsApp with a dozen of Silicon Valley's elite figures. Anderson loved it, and Krishnan began launching more, dozens within a year, on topics from engineering to design to project management to artificial intelligence. To the degree these chats strayed into politics, 2 participants said, they rarely mentioned Donald Trump. They revolved around the specific political challenges of Silicon Valley's leaders. In the chats, executives commiserated about how to handle employee demands that they, for instance, declare that Black Lives Matter. See what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't about Trump because they don't care. Trump benefits them. Why would they have disagreements about Trump? This is what it's about. How do they handle employee demands that they care about their society that they live in? Or support policies they didn't actually believe around transgender rights? You know, classic. As they strategize about how to defeat San Francisco's progressive district attorney, Chesa Boudin. In an essay on his blog, Group Chats Rule the World, Krishnan described how every group chat usually has 1 or 2 people that like to talk a lot. They are critical. You need the provocateurs who inject new ideas consistently. However, almost all of them have a tendency to dominate these groups. Who's the guy that has the best memes? Anderson was a nuclear reactor who powered many groups. Srinivasan was another. A good community builder, Krishnan wrote, would act as a cooling rod, preventing meltdown. Oh, neat. Someone who sat next to Anderson at a conference during this period recalled watching it with awe as he flipped on his phone from group chat to group chat, responding and engaging with manic speed.
And so I was like, okay. And so he's been immersed in this culture. And as you said, like, it's sort of a back channel culture, right? Right. So basically, for people who haven't tracked this, basically what's happened is as the sort of censorship and cancellation machine kind of kicked in a decade ago, basically.
The cancellation machine. The cancellation machine. You're not canceled, man. You have all the fucking influence in the world. How does he have the time? Occasionally, over the past few years, I've had a friend or sort. Like, the cancellation machine is the rest of society doesn't like your fucking ideas. And so you're trying to back channel your ideas to force society to live in ways they don't want to live, you fucking loser. They don't. Oh, they're canceling us. No, they're disagreeing with you, you fucking idiot. God, what a bunch of pussies. How's he have the time? Occasionally over the past few years, I've had a friend or source tell me in wonder that Anderson was blowing up their phones. His hunger for information was astonishing, one participant in the group chat said. My impression is Mark spends half his life on 100 of these at a time. Another correspondent marveled. This man should be a lot busier than I am, and I can barely keep up with his group chat. How does he have the time? Anderson told his friends he finds the medium efficient, a way to keep in touch with 3 times the people in the people in a third of the time. The fact that he and other billionaires spend so much time writing to group chats prompted participants to joke that the very pinnacle of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is posting. Jesus fucking Christ. Doesn't Maslow's hierarchy of needs include socialization or no? Along with the tech-centric WhatsApp groups Krishnan had organized out of A16Z, Anderson joined a slew of others, including ones that Torenberg set up for tech founders and for more political discussions. The tech chats tended to be on WhatsApp and the political ones on Signal. Which was more fully encrypted, and they had different settings. Every group chat ends up being about memes and humor, and the goal of the group chat is to get as close to the line of being actually objectionable without tipping it. That's the goal of every group chat, is to get close to the line. Like, what? These guys are just immature fucking Gen Xers. Anderson told Friedman, people will set to 5 minutes before they send something particularly inflammatory. After a group of liberal intellectuals published a letter in Harper's on July 7, 2020, some of its signers were invited to join a Signal group called Everything is Fine. What was the letter? A letter on justice and open debate. From some liberals in Harper's. Who wrote this? Do I know any of these people? Jazz, Margaret, Atwood. I don't know. I don't recognize any of these people. Our cultural institutions are facing a moment of trial. Powerful protests for racial and social justice are leading to overdue demands for police reform, along with wider calls for greater equality, inclusion across our society, not least in higher education, journalism, philanthropy, and the arts. But the needed reckoning has also intensified a new set of moral attitudes and political commitments that tend to weaken our norms of open debate and toleration of differences in favor of ideological conformity. This is pussy shit. It's not ideological conformity when you have a wide swath of people saying people deserve rights. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't like... I mean, it's as much forcing you to conform as, like, the anti-slave movement was, you know? People's needs are not being met. The billionaire class is failing us and robbing us. There are entire governments genociding people. There are writers including Camille Foster, who co-hosts the podcast The Fifth Column, Persuasion founder Yasha Monk, and the Harper's Letter contributor Williams. Sorry. Hiccup suddenly. Joined Anderson in a group chat that also included the anti-woke conservative activist Chris Rufo. The new participants were charmed by Anderson's engagement. He was the most available, the most present, the most texting of anybody in the group, which shocked me because it seemed like he was the most important person in the group. Wow. But the center didn't hold. The Harper's types were surprised to find what one described an illiberal worldview. No way. Among tech figures more concerned with power than speech. Right. They're saying we need free speech, except we don't want other people to have free speech. How do we stop people from talking out against us? The conservatives found the liberal intellectuals tiresome, committed to what Rufo described to me as infinite discourse over action. Infinite discourse. The breaking point came in July 5th, 2021, when Foster and Williams, along with the never-Trump conservative David French and the liberal academic Jason Stanley, wrote a New York Times op-ed criticizing new laws against teaching critical race theory. Even if this censorship is legal in the narrow context of public primary and secondary education, it is antithetical to educating students in the culture of American free expression, they wrote. True! The conservatives had thought the Harper's Letters writers were their allies in an all-out ideological battle and considered their position a betrayal. Anderson went really ballistic in a quite personal way at Thomas. A participant recalled, the group ended after Anderson wrote something along the lines of, "Thank you, everybody. I think it's time to take a signal break." Oh, it's like when a Discord falls apart. Oh, they had a group chat infight. I can't believe you wrote that about me. Thomas, I can't believe you wrote that about me. That I'm a fucking techno-fascist? No. No, don't write the truth about me. The meltdown of this liberal tech alliance was, to Rufo, a healthy development, of course. A lot of these technologists hoped that the centrist path was a viable one, because it would permit them, in theory, to change the culture without having to expose themselves to the risk of becoming partisans, he said. By 2021, the smartest people in tech understood that these people were a dead end, so the group chats exploded and reformulated on more explicitly political lines. Look, the most revolutionary thing that people could do is start to understand who these people are and make sure that they don't have comfort in this world while they're acting against the better interests of society. Rufo had been there all along. I looked at these chats as a good investment of my time to radicalize tech elites who I thought were the most likely and high-impact new coalition partners for the right. Like Chris Rufo, for instance, is out loud and open about everything that he wants to do, and no one does anything. Why? What really matters is defeating the left, right? Of course. What really matters is defeating the left, because they're our viable fucking opposition. They're the ones that are right about things, and we don't want to live in an egalitarian world where the power isn't funneled towards us. We want to keep an artificial hold on power over human beings. The messages and everything is fine are long gone from the chat, so are many of the liberals. By then, Silicon Valley was moving right. In May of 2022, Anderson asked the conservative academic Richard Hanania to make me a chat of smart right-wing people. Hanania recalled. As requested, he assembled 8 or 10 people, elite law students and federal court clerks, as well as Torenberg and Catherine Boyle, a former Washington Post reporter that at A16Z, and focused on investing in American dynamism. Later, Hanania added the broadcaster Tucker Carlson. The substance of the chat no longer exists, but Signal preserved the group's rotating names, which Anderson enjoyed changing. The names, Hanania said, after checking Signal, included. Do you want to know what my group chat's called? This is not a joke. Houthi PC Small Group. I can't show it to you, but you must believe me that it says Houthi PC Small Group. I can tell you this, we're not plotting world domination. The names for their group chat were Last Men, apparently, Matt Iglesias Fan Club, James Burnham Fan Club, Biden 2024 Re-elect Committee, and Journalism Deniers and Richard. The tone was jesting, but Mark radicalized over time, Hanania recalled. Hanania said he found himself increasingly alienated from the group and the shift towards partisan pro-Trump politics, and he came to see the chat he'd established as a vehicle for groupthink. A friend of Anderson said it was Hanania, not Anderson, who shifted his politics. Interesting. The group continues without him. Hanania argued with the other members about whether it's a good idea to buy into Trump's election denial stuff, I'd say. That's not true, and that actually matters. I got the sense these guys didn't want to hear it, he said. There's an idea that you don't criticize because what really matters is defeating the left. He left the group in June 2023. This keeps going. This is a big fucking article. Chatham House rule. Torenberg launched Chatham House the summer of 2024, naming it after a British think tank that formalized the insight that trusted conversations required a degree of privacy. 2 of its conservative participants said they see the group as a way to shift centrist Trump-curious figures to the Republican side, but its founder said he'd begun to have a left-right exchange where he could have real conversations because of filter bubble group chats. Chatham House includes high-profile figures like the economist Larry Summers and the historian Niall Ferguson, and more partisan figures like Shapiro and the Democratic analyst David Shore. Anderson lurks, but several participants described it to me as something like a gladiatorial arena, with Cuban the most often at the center sparring with conservatives. Everyone's got their favorite forums and group chats and Discord servers that they go into. Dude, I got a hair in my eyeball or something. No idea what you're talking about, Cuban emailed in response to an inquiry about his arguments on Chatham House. The group chat era depended on part of the American elite feeling shut out from public spaces and on the formation of new conservative consensus. Both of those are now fading, though Torenberg has invested in a company called Chat BCC that wants to commercialize the heady experience of sitting on text among the power elite. They always got to make a business. Since Elon Musk turned X to the right, and an alternative media ecosystem emerged on Substack, a tremendous amount of the verboten conversations can now shift back into public view, Anderson told Friedman. It's much healthier to live in a society in which people are literally not scared of what they're saying. I disagree. I don't think maybe scared isn't the word. I think conscientious. Like, you don't have to be scared of what you're saying. Like, I don't think you should be arrested for talking about, like, political discussions. I don't think that's true at all, and I don't think that's ever been happening, unless it's been the left. The left is certainly targeted for having political discussions. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't aid and abet in a genocide and like prop that up. Maybe we should be against that. Seems like a hard stance. Apparently, I'm very extreme for that. I'm just a radical fucking leftist because we shouldn't kill people. We shouldn't just bomb kids and stuff. I don't know, man. And Trump's destabilizing Liberation Day has taken its toll on the coalition Anderson helped shape. You can see it on X, where investors joke that they'll put pronouns back in their bios in exchange for a return to the 2024 stock prices, and where Srinivasan has been a leading critic of Trump's tariffs. Quote, group chats have changed on the economy in the last few weeks, said Rufo. There's a big split on the tech right. Oh, wait. These policies are bad for the economy? It's almost as if we don't have the entirety of American history to look back on. The polarity of social media has also reversed, and while participants used to keep their conservative ideas off social media, now the anti-Trump sentiment is what you're afraid to say on X. Is it? I'm not fucking scared. You guys are... I fucking hate these people. This is so fucking gross. Oh, you're afraid to... Shut up. What are you afraid to say? Why? Free speech, except I'm afraid. What? Just use your fucking free speech. Just use it then. It'll hurt my bottom line. Then it doesn't seem like capitalism is tenable to free speech, does it? Oh no, if I speech free, my capital will be affected. Do you see a problem with the conversation? You see it all? It doesn't seem... I'm not the one... Fuck it. Like, me disagreeing with you and that affecting your bottom line isn't my fucking problem. That is your fucking problem under capitalism. Idiots. How do they not see the fucking contradiction? Because, of course, they are the ones that benefit from the capitalist system. So we can't get rid of that. By mid-April, Sachs had enough with the Chatham House. This group has become worthless since the loudest voices have TDS, he wrote, shorthanding Trump derangement syndrome. Then he addressed Torenberg. You should create a new one with just smart people. Signal soon showed that 3 men had left the group: the Sequoia partner Sean McGuire, the Bitcoin billionaire Tyler Winklevoss, and Tucker Carlson. What? Shut up. We actually have a fucking... We have a screenshot. That is funny. This group has become worthless. Look, Eric Torenberg, you should create a new one with just smart people. 100. And he leaves. I want an echo chamber. Free speech, except when it hurts my feelings. Oh. These fucking losers, dude. Oh my God. Brian Gilbert, I'm sure we have TDS. I think we, Republicans who supported Trump, are seeing that this is a failed administration. Oh my God. Oh. I could suckle on that for a while. It is definitely a failed administration. And it will continue to be, and it has been from the start, and you are all stupid. Quote, someday the full story of the group chats will be written, Anderson wrote after hiring Torenberg last week, and Eric will have played a valuable role in facilitating the vibe shift. But that full story will have to be written by someone who was in the disappearing chats. One Chatham House member shared a few recent texts with me to get the flavor, but most of the members I've talked to either don't have screenshots or respected the group's privacy. Bro code. And of course, it's true that many of the best great conversations can only flourish in an atmosphere of trust. I have been singed in my time by leaked secret groups, and also probably pulled a bit by their groupthink. I was mostly a lurker in Journalist, a 100-strong email group founded by Ezra Klein, described in 2009 Political article as the subject of the 24-year-old American prospect blogging Wonderkind? I'm not sure if any Chatham House members were also on Journalist, but the culture sounds similar. Male-dominated, time-consuming, and veering between silly and brilliant, windy and addictive. The conservative writer and activist Ayaan Hirsi Ali is one of the relatively few women with a big voice on Chatham House, participants said. That's crazy. They only allow conservative women in the space, and only like one of them? I wouldn't talk about this with ladies around. Then maybe you know you're a piece of shit. That's weird. Journalists shut down after a 2010 leak to the Daily Caller had professional consequences for some of its members. Now I keep my own Signal and Slack retention time short. But I've come to think Journalist critics were partly right in noticing that these spaces could encourage conformity and that transform public fora. Public fora. Whoa. Got me. Haven't heard that in a while. I'm assuming it's like conversations. Fora definition. Did he fuck me up? Oh, forum. Never mind. It's just plural for forums. I knew that. Blogs then, social media now, into pitched battles between well-prepared debate clubs rather than open conversations. Quote, you don't want to create a whole separate private blog that only the elite bloggers can go into. And then what you present to the public is the sort of propaganda you've decided to go public with. The conservative blogger Mickey Kaus said on the proto-podcast platform Blogging Heads. Proto-podcast? Wow. Looks like we're doing propaganda, everybody. The Huffy tweets my polite inquiries about the group's produced reminded me of Kaus's observation. Honest disagreement is now permitted largely within the chat. As Lonsdale wrote on X, he and Srinivasan will always be on the same side against communists and the lefty journalists. What is this? Balaji and I have become friends for 20 years, and we will always be on the same side against communists and the lefty journalists. What was there? Oh, it's the only thing journalists do these days. So it's just the reply to that original tweet. Gotcha. But I do hope someone in those groups took some screenshots and a fuller story can be told. I was able to reconstruct fragments from participants who spoke to me because they considered the group chats an important open secret, and it's hard to deny their power. The political journalist Mark Halperin, who now runs Two Way and has a show on Megyn Kelly's network, said it was remarkable that, quote, the left seems largely unaware that some of the smartest and most sophisticated Trump supporters in the nation from the coast to coast are part of an overlapping set of text chains that allow their members to share links, intel, tactics, strategy, and ad hoc assignments. The left seems unaware. I don't feel like I've been unaware of this. Maybe the Democrats, I mean, definitely like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi types. The left, though, knew that they were coordinating. Everybody says the same fucking thing every day. Huh? Not a secret, bro. Also, clever and invigorating jokes, and they do this, not kidding, like 20 hours a day, including on weekends. He called their influence substantial. Many of the group chatters celebrate their success in driving the ascendant politics of the Trump era, which they hope will bring back patriotic industry and traditional cultural norms. So part of the reason that the tech bros want this thing is the way to get into tech bro culture is to be wealthy already or be very lucky, right? You gotta be a wealthy person to get the education and live in the space and live in town with everybody. Get in these spaces, have these numbers, and then. So of course you're going to more likely be a conservative person because a conservative person is propped up by the system, and so they're like the system is good. It works for me, a rich white guy. Some who have left or lurk consider it a sinister phenomenon which Andreessen exerted unspoken gravitational pull, as one participant put it. You'd see that the writers were bending toward the billionaires, and even the ones who prided themselves on being iconoclasts were bending to the taste and centers of the gravity of power. Of course! They're collaborators all the time. I think that's the end of the article. That is not surprising. I don't know who this left would be that's shocked to find out that the billionaire class collaborates with each other. Like they know each other. Yeah. We see them hang out. We know they talk. We know they coordinate. Oh, it's silly shit, dude. Like when it really comes down to it, it's just being cucks for billionaires. Every time.